Yeah. All right. I'd like to call this meeting to order for the Village of Campton Hills. It's May 12th, 2026, and 7:01 PM. Roll call.
Trustee Benetti?
Here.
Trustee Boatner?
Here.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Hassenberger?
Here.
Trustee Millet?
Present.
Trustee Muir?
Here.
President Wonicky?
Present. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Kim, will you lead us in the pledge? All right. Okay, we'll move on to public comments. Clerk Tracy?
Patsy Smith?
Want to make sure that's on, Patsy. Yeah.
There. I just wanted to bring a few things to your attention. The payroll for, on the warrant, the last page, it's blank under the health, vision, and dental section because they couldn't get the report to pull up right. So look for that to be twice as much as it should be on the next warrant. And also, you'll notice, some of you may have had questions about the $500 or the $2580 transfer. And what happened was when I reconciled the drug forfeiture account, there was a payment that was wrongly deposited into the operating account. So the easiest way to get it fixed was that a check was written from the operating account to the drug forfeiture account to make sure that money was in there. So that's what that's about. Also, personally, I believe that you should have done a budget amendment before you approved the last fiscal year, but it's my understanding Carmen said that it was okay to do it retroactively as long as it was done before the audit. So I would certainly encourage you to follow through on that and get that done because you clearly went over in some line items. Also, by law, I'm required to give her a police pension fund report, and I tried to get it for today, and it says, the treasurer of the police pension fund in all municipalities with an Article 3 police officers pension fund shall file an annual report with the trustees and council on the second Tuesday of May, 40 ILCS 5314. I tried. I know that Mark spoke to Chairman Dan Hoffman. He got him to agree to pay for it. It's my understanding, but they didn't get it, so hopefully you'll get it at the next meeting. And it's also my understanding that it hasn't been done since I left office 10 years ago. So it's important to follow the state statutes, and it's pretty clear it's something that's supposed to be done. Let's see. The other issue that I want to bring to your attention is, as the village treasurer, I don't believe that I could pay Mark going forward after his date of resignation without board action in an open session. So I'm recommending if you're going to extend his time with the village till the end of the month, that you do something formally in front of the village. Otherwise, I would consider him working for free. And there are a lot of other things. I highly recommend the board think twice before approving the action on the village treasurer at this meeting. I reread the 217 minutes. I'd suggest you all do that because basically I thought it was pretty clear, 4 of you, the majority of you agreed that contract should have been renegotiated before anything was signed, and that's not what happened. So that's my recommendation. Thank you.
Okay, any other public comments?
No.
All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Anything to remove from the consent agenda? Treese?
I remove L.
Okay. Janet?
K?
I'm sorry?
K?
Kay? Okay. Okay. And any others? Okay. Motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of 4K and 4L.
So moved.
Second?
was that Nick? And
Frank.
Okay, Frank, and then Janet, second. Okay, roll call?
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Hassenberger?
Aye.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
Okay. All right, moving to 4K, motion to advise and consent to the president's reappointment of William Bill Mayer to the Police Pension Fund for a term to expire May 12th, 2028. Go
Right.
ahead.
Got a clarification.
mhm.
This is Muir. Mayor?
Mayor?
No, it is not my husband.
Okay, that's,
It's yeah.
so, all right, so these are these are two different people? Yes. All right, very good, thank you.
Oh, is that why you removed it then?
I wanted to,
Okay.
well, I wasn't sure if we
Oh.
maybe had a misspelling, so I wanted to understand.
Okay, do you want to make a motion to approve?
I do.
Okay.
Second.
Second by Mike, roll call?
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Hassenberger?
Aye.
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. And then we'll move to L. Do I get a motion, please?
Motion to, I'm gonna, excuse me, Mike? I'm gonna make a motion that we, at least take this off of consent and discuss it first. I had sent a memo out to everyone about the concerns I have about, reminding about the concerns with the Lauterbach and Eamon contract in general, and then just asking for some clarification on the appointment of Bob. Not the appointment itself, just the way we're handling the documentation.
Before the speechifying happens, is there a motion?
So I'm making a motion to,
Second.
thank you.
Okay. Okay.
The motion, it's been removed, yes, so it's the.
No, it's
motion-
been removed.
The motion is to
yes.
advise and consent to the appointment, and you can discuss it now.
So we move forward.
All right, discussion? Do I have a second on that motion? Then Mike seconded? Okay. And, okay, any discussion?
So I have discussion unless someone else wants to go first. So I just, did you want something, Mike, first? No, okay. So I had raised this last meeting about the issue of the signature on the Lauterbach and Eamon contract. Now, it can be easily fixed. I think we need to fix it. I think that Mr. Forte and I disagree a little bit on, I think, the timing of what occurred in my understanding and documents that have been placed online. The document was signed after we had agreed to table it and after we had a discussion about renegotiating the contract. So when it was tabled indefinitely, it just needs to be brought back up and looked at again, and then we have another board action to sign it. At the time that you signed it, I believe you signed it on May 5th. This had been tabled on February 17th. And so at that point, there was no authority on the table yet for you to sign anything. So, like I said, this is not something that can't be fixed. If the board wants to move forward with this agreement, and as I'm sure they do, someone had that tabled it, one of the three of us, it was, I believe, Kim, Mike, or myself, needs to bring it back on board and do what we said we were going to do, which was renegotiate, make sure that the contract makes sense, and then sign a new contract. I think there's pretty clear case law. I did run it past another municipal lawyer, and he agrees with me on this, that this needs to be redone properly. So that's the first issue. And then the second issue, there's multiple other issues just about the appointment with Bob, which is fine. Once again, though, I think we need to have some sort of an agreement with him that kind of mirrors some of the agreements we've had with other independent contractors, something similar to like the MGT agreement or GovTemps, where we have an agreement with just him, and we have some agreement that says that Lauterbach and Eamon is sort of leasing him out to us, because this particular agreement doesn't say anything about that. I don't even know if his name, it might be mentioned, but it's not the same kind of, like you kind of have the two entities being discussed in one contract. So you've got the corporation that's going to provide some treasurer services. Now we're trying to make a treasurer appointment, and I just think that needs to be a separate agreement where we outline that he's actually the treasurer, that these are personal duties for this person, and that we have the compensation listed, And we have that as they have something similar to what we have for MGT or for GovTemps that we've done in the past. I think Mr. Forte made some comment about, we've never had an agreement with a prior treasurer, but we've never had an independent contractor act as our treasurer before that I'm aware of. So this is new territory. We've got to just make sure we're doing it correctly.
Okay, thank you, Therese. Go ahead, Mike.
I think those are pretty good points. When we talked about this last time, Trustee Benetti and I had some discussions with Lauterbach to talk about clarifying some of the concerns that the board expressed about their duties, and we haven't done that yet, I agree. And we had we asked where this system was already in place, where they were serving as a treasurer, as a designated treasurer, and Prospect Heights, Mount Prospect Heights, was where they were doing it, so we should mirror whatever the situation is in there, because it's working there. I think there's a decoupling of two things here, though, and we've had this discussion off and on about the difference between a finance director and a treasurer. Treasurer is a political appointment of an individual. That's the prerogative of the president with our advice and consent. And then the salary is fixed separate from that. And the term is whatever the term is that's in the 3 years in the state statute. But I don't know that that necessarily is hard, fast, and I think it might have been alluding to this, Trustee Hoffensberger, correct me if I'm wrong, that you said as an individual, so they have to be bonded as an individual and they have to be treated as an individual. That is correct. None of that precludes the appointment, I don't think, at this point. We've done, as mentioned before, that we've appointed people from various spots to be treasurer and worked those things through, but I did think we were going to get a clarification on the duties from Lauterbach and Amon to address that, that they're not, or to clarify, when we talk about them just watching stuff, it's the same as a director of a department would watch stuff. It doesn't mean they're just, passively or flipping through stuff real quick. It means they're daily looking at work or routinely looking at work and stuff like that. So I think that clarification would be there. So to council, is this decoupling correct? Is there anything that prevents from the concern, the valid concerns that about whether it was tabled or postponed or whatever, that can be separate from appointing an individual as treasurer, correct?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's all I got right now.
Okay. Anybody on this side? Any comments? Discussion? All right, one more time, Therese.
So then I would just recommend that we then make another, have a separate agreement then with Bob, then making him the treasurer and defining, what his compensation is for that particular job. I know that I received earlier today some of the documents that we were sending out because we were looking for a treasurer and an administrator, and one of the documents for the treasurer said, compensation between $40 and $50 an hour, so I think we've got to address that. And then take a look at what's being taken off of the Lauterbach and Amon agreement, and now being done through this other agreement with Bob, and then we see what's remaining, and then we come up with a price for that.
Okay. Anybody else? No? Okay, well, we have a motion to approve on the table. Roll call?
Trustee Hassenberger?
Moving forward with the appointment of the treasurer.
Oh, who put that motion out? I'm not approving the appointment without making the changes, so I would make the motion to make amendment to this motion that states that we've got to go back and draft a contract and do it properly.
Okay, with your changes.
With the changes that we just discussed, which is making a separate contract similar to something like the MGT or the GovTemps contract, where we're actually giving him the role, and Lauterbach and Amon is agreeing that we're leasing him from them.
The motion that opened debate was to advise and consent to the president's
Well, then I'll
appointment.
motion to table this until we do that. So I'll motion to table
Is
this.
there a second to table?
There's already a motion on the table.
Tabling, tabling press.
Tabling does take precedence. It would need a second, correct?
Okay. You're tabling, is there a second to table? Okay, hearing none.
So the motion to table fails for lack of a second. The original motion is on the table. Trustee can continue with her motion or can withdraw her motion. It's your prerogative. Your original motion was to advise to, as is stated on the agenda, to open up discussion. So it was a motion to advise and consent to the appointment,
Okay.
which allowed for discussion.
Mhm.
If you do not want to move forward with that motion anymore, you can withdraw it.
So what happens if I withdraw it now? It just
It
goes to
opens back
vote?
up to the table. Anyone else can make a motion to.
Okay,
advise
so
consent.
I will just withdraw my motion then.
Okay.
You withdraw. All right, Nick,
I
go
would like
ahead.
to make a motion to approve consent agenda item L as it's written.
Okay,
Second.
second by Frank. Any more discussion? Okay,
So, okay, real quick. So what are the terms that we've got this, that we're hiring him under? What are we paying him? What are we, is the $7,000 per month going straight to Bob? Is some of it going to Lauterbach and Amen?
The-
Are they going to decide on their end?
The way that I
Well,
understood the
council, yeah.
discussion with Lauterbach at the last meeting and the board's discussion with them was that the company's being paid at a fixed rate per month. The treasurer does not need to be compensated. The treasurer is an appointed official. He or she can work for or for not for compensation. And the way I understood the agreement, that Lauterbach would be providing Mr. Tanhill to serve in the role of treasurer. He would be under the supervision as designated in the village code, so that I believe it's under the village administrator, but also the board. The treasurer, under the recent revisions to the village code, does not direct the services of the financial services contractor, if there is one. So if there's anyone that is performing duties through LNA for the village, they would be supervised by the village administrator. That's what the board approved back in, I think it was February of this year, in a previous ordinance. So there would be a separation of duties. They would be working on similar tasks and certainly working alongside each other, but the treasurer would not be directing the individual staff.
Can you just help direct?
If there is any.
The language in the Lauterbach and Amen contract that designates Bob as the treasurer?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Is there language in the Lauterbach and Amen contract that directs them to appoint Bob as our treasurer?
No, and I'm not sure that there needs to be one. If the president wants to appoint an individual, whether they're with Lauterbach or not with Lauterbach, she has the right to do so. And you know, obviously, the village has to make sure that there is no conflict, that, you know, that it meets, the arrangement still meets the provisions of the village code that have that separation of duties, the supervisory roles, but also meet statute. So the treasurer, the way that statute reads is, I hate to use the word ceremonial role, but that role, there are very fixed duties that a treasurer is responsible for. And in a number of communities, that's either done, the more ministerial roles are performed by other staff members or by outside contractors, especially in smaller towns. So a lot of times, the treasurer is really the person who is reviewing the work that's being performed by another vendor, other part-time or full-time staff that has more time to devote to the individual tasks. And that was my understanding of how the Lauterbach agreement was going to be working here.
So he will be sworn in and bonded and all
Right.
those things?
Right, yeah.
And no compensation?
My understanding from the presentation was that he would not be compensated directly from the village. He would remain an employee of Lauterbach. But he, you know, the Lauterbach can't provide a different employee than the treasurer that's sworn in here, because that individual is the person who is the treasurer.
Did you say can or cannot?
Cannot, no.
Okay.
So if for some reason he, you know, by, you know, disability or unwillingness to work for that company anymore, was unable to serve, the village would have to appoint a new treasurer. If Lauterbach was able to provide one, that could work out. If not, the village could look to outside. The company could be another individual.
Okay. I still just reserve the right to get another opinion on this, but for now, I'll stay quiet.
Okay, anybody else, discussion? Okay, we have a motion on the table by Nick to approve. Roll call.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Heffelberger?
Nay.
Trustee Millet?
Abstain.
Abstain.
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
All right, motion does pass. All right, moving on to number 5, staff reports. We have Chief Levand.
You actually had 2 reports, just because of the budget and everything, so you ended up having March and April. The activity for March, 313 calls for service, 8 accidents, 166 citations for arrests. April's activity was 301 calls for service, 6 accidents, 13 arrests. The Great Western Trail was done again this year on April 25th. It was great by everyone that took part in it. We had over 30 volunteers, cleaned up a 3-mile stretch of the Great Western Trail. We collected over 16 bags of trash from the cleanup. Just want to thank all the volunteers who took part in the efforts, but a big special thank you to Stavi, Christina, Russ, and Julie, all from the village. They did great in our VIPS program. DEA National Drug Take Back Day, that was also April 25th. We took part in it. We do every year, thanks to Stavi and the volunteers from VIPS who took part in the initiative. Collected over 40 pounds of used prescription medication for disposal, and we were presented with a certificate of appreciation from the DEA for our continued partnership in the Drug Take Back program. April 9th, we conducted an extensive search for a missing 13-year-old resident with different disabilities. Search took about 3 hours. We were able to reunite the son with his mother. Big thank you to Detective Oberth and Officer Bialis who worked with me on the call looking for the lost juvenile. But I also want to thank Kane County Forest Preserve Police who provided manpower and a 4-wheeler, and Kane County Sheriff who provided a drone in the search since our operators were off that time. So it was a team effort. They were able to reunite the 13-year-old with his mother. May 21st, next week, the police department hosts autism training. That's for our officers and outside agencies. Just want to thank the Autism Hero Project for offering and teaching the very important training. Everyone is aware of the recent death investigation the police department has been conducting since Friday evening. On Friday, May 8th, approximately 10:45 p.m., officers were dispatched to Brookside Drive for a disturbance. When officers arrived, a deceased female was located in the driveway of the residence. I was contacted by Sergeant Bertolotti and made aware of the incident. I responded from home and arrived a short time later. I made the determination at the scene to request assistance of Fox Valley Major Crimes Task Force, who responded to the scene to assist in the investigation. The investigation is currently active, and when I have additional updates, I will share those updates or provide the information, which was also shared with the media in the press release. I did meet with the family of the deceased over this weekend. Thoughts and prayers are with the family and friends during this difficult time. I can assure everyone that we are working around the clock using every available resource to help determine what occurred, to bring some closure to this tragedy. I would like to extend my appreciation to many who have assisted during this investigation. That includes Kane County Sheriff's Office, Elburn and Countryside Fire Department, who were at the initial scene, Fox Valley Major Crime Task Force, who's been working with us throughout the investigation, the Kane County Coroner's Office, and the Kane County State's Attorney, who's been super helpful. There's been a lot of stuff that's needed to take place that they provided assistance. Many department members assisted during this investigation, but a couple of us have worked literally since Friday night with minimal sleep on it. So I do want to give a special thanks to the Detective Oberth and Sergeant Roskins for all their hard work. The investigation continues today, so as any updates come available, we will provide those. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Any discussion or questions for Chief? All right. Okay, moving on, I'd like to ask the commission to move 7A under action items. That would be A, and then we'll move everything down. So it's a status update of, right? Yep. Okay, Mike Millette would like us to do this, and so do I have the consensus of the board? We're just, We're
Just
just,
to provide a discussion,
Put
provide an update on.
7A on the RDA before we do.
Right.
but
as a di-
before we vote on the action items, it'll be discussion. Okay. Yeah.
Do you want to let Carmen give an overview?
Sure. And then is Mike going to talk too, and then Drew? No, you're not. Okay.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Carmen.
Thank you. As I mentioned at, I believe, our last meeting, the last few meetings, we've been continuing to work, both myself, Administrator Rooney, President Winnicki, and other representatives of our open space groups with Mr. Petzel from Shodine to negotiate the redevelopment agreement. It's a fairly comprehensive document. There are a lot of moving parts to it because of the annexation and the agreement that we had there. We have made some significant headway in the last month or so, but we do continue to negotiate some points. We're still working through the means in which the project will be financed, but we've had some good discussions on that lately. We have not put a draft document in front of you yet, mainly because some of the areas have been a bit amorphous lately, and I'm a little hesitant to put something in front of you that I know is going to change in potentially some significant ways in certain sections. And not in very large ways, but they then would affect other areas of the document. So I'd like to have something a little bit more static to provide you when we do take a look at it, and it would be before it would be up for consideration. We had kind of a similar issue with the annexation agreement. I provided it fairly early on, and then we continued to meet every week, and a lot of things had started moving. We had different agreements with other units of local government. We had some changes in the agreement, and then by the time it came before you for review, before approval, it was a bit different than when you had first seen it, so I want to kind of avoid that. But we've made great headway. We've gotten very close on a lot of, on many areas and come to agreements on many areas. But I know that Mr. Petzold is here also for any questions, as am I. So if anyone has any questions.
And one of the items, just today, this afternoon, I got a positive response from KDOT. And what they request, in the preliminary PUD that we discussed with the planning and zoning and the village board approved, it could range between $1 million and $2 million of what they demand of the village and AKA the developer to do on the relation to the development. So we got their feedback today. I'm going to review it with Scott. We started that earlier today, had a discussion, and we're waiting to discuss it with Dave and CENTCOM, his engineers. So that item will be solidified by the end of the week, I hope, and then we'll have that discussed and fill in that, because our budget, as we've discussed with, I think, this group and SB Friedman, the number is around $32,500,000 for the 23 years of the TIF on the estimate of value of home and the speed of sale. That's the top end. So then the budget, there's many items, including the sanitary district was recently decided to not be Mill Creek, it's going to be Grand Prairie. So the discussions on that and to finalize those engineering numbers and requests, we got to do the budget of the RDA. So we've finalized some of those decisions that are key components and large cost items. So if we finalize those, we should be able to get you an RDA sometime, I think, by the end of next week. Depend a little bit with the developer's cooperation and understanding with his engineering estimates as well as ours. And then we could have a much more robust discussion of the RDA on the 26th of this month if we cancel the 19th and go to the 26th of May. That'll give us enough time to finalize a lot of the items for the RDA for your edification and then a more thorough review of our work. Yeah. And I don't know, I know Drew came in a little late. If he had anything to add in his continued discussion with Ben Habither and the Forest Preserve and the timing, if you guys would take a, not a roll call, but just a consensus that you're going to let him speak out of turn because he showed up a little late.
And Dave, do you want to speak also after Drew speaks? No?
No.
Okay. Okay. Janet had her hand up, I think.
Before Drew goes?
I guess maybe
Mhm.
so that I understand, and I think also so the public understands, we have a lot of different document terms that have very similar names. And so we just had some conversation about the status of the redevelopment agreement, but that is not what we were voting on tonight, right? So we are voting tonight on a redevelopment plan and project, right?
Right.
And
so
we are
that-
voting tonight on
That's right.
on a redevelopment project area.
Area.
And we are voting on adopting the TIF allocation financing for this,
Mhm.
for this area. So,
Right.
so there are lots of steps in this whole process.
That's right.
And so these are 3 necessary steps, but they are not the redevelopment agreement that contains many of the business terms of this arrangement.
Right. My memo on these ordinances, it didn't make this packet, but I believe it was in the last one when these were up for discussion. You're correct. The redevelopment plan and project is that the document that you saw from SB Friedman that they prepared. So the village, under statute, is required to approve that document, that plan, which designates the redevelopment of this area. The second ordinance sets the boundaries of the TIF. It sets the area. We call it the RPA. It's the TIF district. Excuse me. The third ordinance adopts the tax increment allocation financing. So it's the mechanism for which a developer or the village or other parties such as the school district, libraries, things like that, can obtain portions of the increment that's generated from, tax increment that's generated from the district over the period, the life of the TIF. So these documents are very formulaic and set out in statute. There's not a lot of room for changing things around. Really, the only thing we can put in them is a description of the redevelopment plan and project. We could put the PIN numbers, the map, and a general description of the area. Other than that, they're very formulaic. And then separately, you will be asked at some point in the future to approve an ordinance that would approve the redevelopment agreement. And that agreement will contain various terms, some of which are similar to what you saw in the annexation agreement or carry on from that agreement, but it will lay out the way in which this tax increment financing is going to work with regard to the developer's request for reimbursement for his eligible costs or its eligible costs. We'll also speak to the village's priority costs for such things as the Harley Road Bridge and other areas. It will speak to any other agreements that the village has entered into with other units of local government. And it will generally also discuss construction timelines and schedules and milestones, things like that. There will be a number of exhibits. It will be a very long document, which is why we have a lot of moving parts. It does talk, Mark talked about the KDOT agreement. We also have a draft agreement from the fire district, Elburn Countryside Fire Protection District, regarding the land upon which the fire station will go. We're working on negotiating an agreement with the RTA, it's RTA, right? RTA. Regarding access to an access road, parking lot area where the fire station will go as well. So that's another set of entities that we need to work with and develop an agreement because some of their land will be used or accessed at some point. There will probably be more, but that's what we have right now.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, Drew, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Administrator Rooney asked me to speak on the Forest Preserve aspect. Yeah, Ben Habither, who is the Executive Director of the King County Forest Preserve, and Bill Leonard is the President of the Forest Preserve, both associates of Mayor Winicki and mine as former Forest Preserve commissioners. So I talked to Ben a couple weeks ago now, and he just asked me what was going on, with the weekly meetings and how everything was going. I told him everything's going very well. we say the goalpost keeps moving, but it's a little bit less each time, but it's certainly on wheels. We were hoping to wrap this thing up last fall, and here we are in the spring, trying to get it done. So Ben said, no problem, we're fully on board, everybody's excited about it. If you remember, this was the first and largest acquisition that was approved under their second century at the Forest Preserve, and they're very excited about it. He said the money's approved on the shelf, everything's in order, they're just waiting for a closing day. And it could be even the same day or same meeting where Shodine writes a check and the Forest Preserve writes a check, and everything's done. So he's very excited about it. Mayor Winnicki and I have a deep-seated fear because about 8 years ago, we had that land set aside for purchase, fully approved, and we even had a $750,000 state grant. And that's when Pulte showed up, and suddenly our phone stopped ringing. So we want to get this thing done, and I would just say, you've heard ad nauseum me talk about what we think this is a good deal, but I had one person mention, like, why don't we just say no to everything and this will just go away? Well, we've been at this 25 years, and this is the 5th presentation. We've had 3 fights at St. Charles. I don't think we have 9 lives at St. Charles, so it's not a choice of nothing happening there. It's a choice of a high-quality subdivision of about 900 homes, which sounds like a lot, but the alternative is 2,000, 2,100 plus. So, that's what we're fighting for, and that's why we're so excited about seeing this thing happen. The other threats that are out there that make this even more important that have come up just over the winter months is, the former RTA or whatever it's called now. They're looking for the authority to condemn land within a certain distance of metro stations for high-density development. Mm-hmm. They would blow this thing out of the water, believe me. They're like Chicago densities. And, so they're looking to do that. And the state's looking to take over zoning, and they're applying Chicago 8 units per acre they thought was like, country living. Those threats are out there. So I would just urge you to, everybody's asked a lot of questions. They've asked all the right questions, and we totally respect that. But, we'd like to see this thing move forward. So, thank you.
Okay.
And to that point, KDOT representatives did mention that new planning agency, and if we don't get moving on this, they respect that we've already taken it through preliminary plat, but if it delays too long, they will answer the call to NIPA, the new authority that Springfield and the governor are asking for, and tied to RTA stations. They're well aware of their potential power, and
if that were to happen, they're going to look at a map and go, oh, here's a metro station with 1,000 acres of empty land around it. That's a lot better than redevelopment. So it would certainly be right in the middle of their bullseye. We're really excited about being part of Campton Hills, and we want a board like you that has the same priorities that we have in LaFox to oversee things before somebody like that gets a hold of it. So, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Drew. All right. Mike, you had your hand up?
Yeah, because I asked for this to be done. I think several of us have been approached by individuals asking why this has to be done tonight if we don't have the redevelopment agreement done yet. So I guess that would be one question. Is there something magic? Is it, would it mess up the Forest Preserve deal? Would it mess up some bonding discussions or something like that if we don't act on these tonight?
Okay, thank you.
What it does is gives the developer the confidence to keep spending money and to talk to his Raymond James bonding capacity to do the deal. And we've talked about this. It is not, as somebody has said, a blank check for the developer. The redevelopment agreement and the budget in the redevelopment agreement and the spending priorities you do as a board in that redevelopment agreement, that's the checkbook. And that's the checklist in the order of sequence that we will follow, much like you did with, as Carmen said, the annexation agreement. So yes, this does give the developer and his owner that continues to spend money the confidence that he's got a willing partner, which is this village, to do this. It doesn't bind you to any term of the redevelopment agreement. It does not. You still have free will completely to put in or take out anything in the RDA at a later date. It just gives them the confidence and the documentation to go to lenders or bond counsel to get a cost of what a bond would cost that's not geo-backed by this village. That's, and Dave can add.
Yeah, Dave Patzel from Shodine. And you changed your mind.
I did when I heard Mike's question. For the record, David Patzel, P-A-T-Z-E-L-T, from the Shodine Group, 77 North First Street, Geneva, Illinois. Mike, simply put, I've, as much as I look very young, I've been doing this for over 30 years, have been in many TIF districts, have had many TIF projects. Never have I had an RDA that is on the same track or approved the same time. Technically, more simply put, from what Carmen was describing for you, is that I can't have an RDA agreement if there's no TIF district. In essence, we need to approve the TIF district. Does it give me anything financially or any benefit? No, because I can't collect anything, I can't create an increment, I can't draw on an increment until I have the RDA. So much like climbing a ladder, this is the first step that needs to be done before we can get to the RDA. There's many people, many different types of organizations that are involved in this whole process. I can have an RDA, you can commit to funding, and I can get increment from you if I generate the increment, and if I don't have a lender, everything's kaput. So even if you approve what's tonight, and then you approve an RDA, if I don't get a lender, it could still be end. Again, like climbing a ladder, it's one rung after the other, and it's not intentional. It's just how these projects move forward. Hopefully that is a little bit simpler.
That's an answer, thank you.
Okay, can you take a question,
Can I-
Dave?
Sure, absolutely.
Artrice, go ahead.
Can you just give us a quick update on this switch now from working with the Mill Creek Water Reclamation to Grand Prairie and what that's going to entail? I'm assuming that you're going to have to start with a new facility and all that, and what does that do to the numbers? Do the numbers change at all? And how far are you along in any kind of like engineering or any of that kind of thing?
Absolutely. So from prior presentations or prior comments that I've offered to the board, we had several different options on the table. Simply put, those options were 33 million, 37 million, 42 million. The two most expensive ones were Mill Creek options. Admittedly, I've been watching and been involved with the Grand Prairie Sanitary District for over 20 years. My personal thought was that working with the Mill Creek Water Reclamation District was perhaps the best option. I thought that from the setting dollars aside, that having one governmental entity versus having two governmental entities being sanitary districts would be better. However, from our discussions with the Mill Creek Water Reclamation District, the $37 million option was not acceptable to the Mill Creek Water Reclamation District. That grew to the $42 million, and even at the $42 million, there were some requests for additional costs items. So the 42, when they responded back to us, was lower than the number that it would actually cost. So if you're just looking at dollars, and these three estimates all met or all meet the IEPA permitting requirements to provide sewer and water to the 900 units. The estimates were prepared by our engineer, Semcon. All of the estimates, including the Grand Prairie estimate, were shared with the engineer from the Mill Creek Water Reclamation District, so it was full disclosure of what we all we're working with. There weren't any hidden secrets. So that option is in the $33 million option. So that's the one that we're proceeding with, and that's the reason why we've gone with the Grand Prairie Sanitary District. As part of that Grand Prairie Sanitary District option, we've done a couple things. The first one is, although you've heard comments about bonds for ways to finance this, the IEPA also, as of March 31st, is their annual cutoff date where you submit trying to think of the, I'm sorry?
Project plan.
Project plan. You submit that and you get on a list. So Grand Prairie Sanitary District submitted and got on that list and was assigned a number by the IEPA, which they call it a grant or loan number. So there is a loan number. That doesn't mean you get a loan. It just means that this is your number when it's referred to. So it is, so that's technically the first step that needs to be taken. That was accomplished.
And Dave, point out 2.5% for that revolving loan, federally funded through the states. It's 2.5% revolving loan versus a non-tax exempt bond could be 7
to 8%. So
How much would the loan be for, the total?
unknown, you're just in line and have a number that you're applying for a low-interest loan. So then the next process or next step was to commence with engineering of the wastewater treatment plant, as well as commence engineering for the water supply system. And we have commenced with engineering of those systems. That I'll share with you that the cost, you'll see it eventually, the cost of those engineering contracts is $1 million. So to Administrator Rooney's comments, wanting to know that there is still commitment from the village, we are committed. We've signed that agreement. We're into engineering, so we're committed to the next $1 million of expenditures. We hope that you tonight will approve the 3 ordinances, which shows your continued commitment to this project. Hopefully here, we will complete the engineering in the next 30 to 60 days, where we can get an engineer's estimate, where we can then go on to the IEPA to show them that we have an engineering plan that we want them to review. We have an engineering cost. How can we advance a low-interest loan? Admittedly, I'm going to say that we're probably in the less than the 50% chance of getting the low-interest loan, simply because, and maybe Mike, you can add to this, that my understanding of the IEPA low-interest loans are based on, or are the people that are on the higher than 50% chance of getting it are those who are in default or have problems with their existing systems. And so they get a priority. And typically those priorities exceed the dollar amount of the available funding. But if you don't try, you're not going to get anything. So we wanted to take that the step with the Grand Prairie Sanitary District, and we took that step, and we're going to continue to try to work and get that. The IEPA has been conversing back with our engineer and has actually given us some suggestions that the Grand Prairie Sanitary District had prior permits issued for some infrastructure, and the IEPA suggested that on the applications that are coming in before them, that we reference those numbers and use those numbers as the IEPA recognizes the Grand Prairie Sanitary District as a sanitary district. So all good things, expensive to do, but we believe taking the right steps.
Thank you so much for that update, because I've been hearing kind of bits and pieces, and that puts it all much more clearly together for me, because I wasn't sure if things were all changing now that, you know, you were going to be doing a new facility, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Janet?
I think if I hadn't been exposed to any of this previously, one of the things I might wonder is how it could be that building a brand-new facility could cost 10 million or more or less than connecting up to an existing facility. And so, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but my understanding is that there are a series of reasons for this, and some of it has to do with the relatively high cost of interconnection between what would be two separate systems anyway, regardless of whether if we were working with Mill Creek, it would be a physically separate system, and there were high costs of interconnection associated with that was one thing that I believe that you told us about previously. Another one is that there were some concerns about deferred maintenance issues that might be somehow getting intertwined in these other negotiations. And so this opportunity to start fresh actually has some significant benefits for us, as I understand it. Is that correct?
Yes, all of those statements that you made are 100% correct, and I could give you further details if you wanted to understand it. I'll add one more element to that, and this is not a dig or a pushback against the Mill Creek Water Reclamation District, and I know there was some comments during our annexation agreement about irrigating, people irrigating their lawns for green grass. And within our annexation agreement, we've said that we will not install lawn irrigation systems to try to help not use water on lawns. One of the concerns or desires of the Mill Creek Water Reclamation District was that they currently have what's commonly called the odd-even watering. They wanted to try to avoid odd-even so that you could water every day if you would like. They would like or prefer to sell more water, creates more revenue. To do that, you need larger wells or more storage. So that is another item that the Mill Creek system was asking for, larger wells, more storage versus what is required by the IEPA to serve 900 households. But if you'd like some further details about the differences in the pressure zones, which were driving some
No, I
costs.
think you explained some of that to us before, and it was very informative, so thank you.
And
Only-
Mill Creek, to your other point and your concern about conservation as a group in this area, has talked about it many, many times. They could also do off-site sale of said water that was pumped and stored, which I don't think this board wants.
My only other question is, and if we're going through Grand Prairie, then for my prior conversations with you, there was a concern about where this effluent is going to go and whether there's adequate spray field capacity, and it sounded like there is in the early going of the project, but there's concern as you get more houses built, more homes built, as to whether more spray field capacity could be acquired, or whether that's going to end up becoming a point discharge situation. Can you speak to that?
Sure. So as you have stated, the early phases of the wastewater treatment plant will be a land-applied system. That, and we will be applying on the land that is, I'll say, not currently developed. So if we have 900 units of residential and you build the first 100, you'd have vacant land or farmland that remains, that could be irrigated. So that land could be irrigated. As we continue to build, we get less and less land that we could irrigate. I'm sorry? And more and more effluent, correct. So then the strategy is, okay, is there other land area that is abutting or neighboring to this property that we could go and irrigate on? And we do know that there is land
that those property owners are interested in making sure that their land is always farmland. Farmland could use irrigation. Are they interested in an irrigation easement on their land that they would then know it will always be farmland? So that is another potential source of more land that could be irrigated upon. There's also other areas outside that we know that could use irrigation of the effluent water. So it's somewhat of a moving target, but the wastewater treatment plant would also be built to the point where some or all of its water could be point source discharged. And we have also heard from the water study, Kane County did through the University of Illinois, did an extensive water study, and they've identified certain tributary areas that could use additional flow to help feed, through all the tributaries back into the Fox River. And it turns out that the Johnson Mound Run is one of those, which happens to be our tributary that enters the Mill Creek tributary that then eventually goes into the Fox, would benefit from a flow of water, of wastewater. So that is another benefit that somebody else has pointed out, that having a point source discharge would actually benefit the tributary area.
Dave, just for clarity, though, we use those terms, everybody kind of knows point discharge, and that wastewater's treated in its state before it goes in the creek. It's not like Tijuana's system polluting San Diego's beaches.
Good.
Well,
Just we don't want to create a misnomer on that point.
I assume not, but even to put a finer point on it, you were speaking to the level of water treatment, and in this new plant that's going to be constructed, are you going to get to the point that enough nitrates are removed that this water you feel can be safely discharged into the creek, or
Short answer is yes, that
Yes.
the design of this plant will be able to, could do, I'll call it dual discharge. It could point source discharge some, and it could also be used as irrigation. So it would meet the standards and the requirements that the IEPA requires.
there's
for-
additional treatment required to get to that
Exactly.
point?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Frank?
So I have a question, going back to what Drew was talking about as far as the bill that's coming through the state, as far as taking, I'll call it taking control, whether that's the right term or not, of zoning and taking it away from villages. So my question is timing-wise, and you guys may not know this, but is there a time frame as to where our project is, to where if the state does get that passed and it gets implemented, that they can override what we're trying to do? And at what stage does our project need to be in before it precludes the state from jumping in at some point?
And on
Because obviously
this, go to Carmen.
Right, I mean, you have a preliminary PUD approved, so you're well on your way to review and approve what will be the final product here. If this were something in concept phase, and there had not been annexation, or even if there had been annexation, but there was no development concept or preliminary approval attached to it, you'd probably want to move a little bit faster. That doesn't mean you should move more slowly now, but the essence of the legislation is not to undo things that have already been approved or that are within the process of preliminary approval granted and then final approval awaiting or final engineering awaiting. But if there are, for instance, TIF districts that have been created with the intent of future development, there is a question as to whether or not those development plans could fall apart in a local municipality if you don't have any concepts, you don't have any plans on the table yet, especially around transit-oriented, around transit centers. So.
And that's what I was speaking to with KDOT, having an IGA drafted that we're about to sign off on as both the developer and the village. And that's important, so they won't be able to trigger that state new mandate.
Yeah, I mean, because what's being proposed is going to create a lot of density and a lot of lower income type projects, which are needed. But, you know, to have kind of the Wild West of zoning, which sounds like what the state's trying to accomplish, I think would be problematic.
Yeah.
So.
All right, Kim.
Yeah, for Dave. I just want, well, and I appreciate everybody answering all my questions and everything with that memo that I sent out before. But is it also safe to say that building a new plant is probably going to be cheaper, more efficient because it's newer technology versus outfitting something that's been in place for, how long has Mill Creek been there? 20?
30.
30?
30.
I don't know that I don't know that I would go that far. To me, if I didn't look at the numbers based on the number of gallons that I'm going to process, or the number of or cost per gallon to generate or create and filter. You might be able to argue that the number, cost per gallon maybe is more affordable or cheaper for the Mill Creek system versus a new system. But when you demand many more gallons, right, than what you really don't need, your cost goes up. So I didn't analyze it, look at it on that basis. So I don't know that I can jump and say that doing the Grand Prairie system is the most cost-effective way. I hope I'm trying to answer your question. And did I get whether it's the answer you wanted or not? But does that give you an answer?
Yeah, well, no, but would you say it's going to be more efficient? Just because it's new?
Yes, I would say it is, because like you said, new technology, new equipment. Should it operate better? Should it operate cleaner? Should it operate more? Yes, I would think so. I don't know that the cost is any better or worse.
Yeah, of course, the economy scale of a larger is going to always be better, Kim, and that's why he's reluctant. But there's externalities that Mill Creek is asking for and demanding that pushes it into that 40 range. And they're nothing to do with the gallon being treated. It's other issues.
All right, Nick, go ahead.
Yeah, do we have an anticipated deadline or date that we could expect, like the draft, a first draft of the redevelopment agreement? Do you have any idea?
I would say that I would be more aggressive than that Mr. Rooney, and when he was setting dates.
For us to view the agreement.
And I agree that the agreement, even on Thursday or Friday of last week, there were some significant tweaks or changes, and it really is driven by the funding source. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you that since that, I thought, okay, why are we getting these? And it's from our own legal team. After getting those red line comments, one of the comments was, Dave, before you get this agreement and the village board approves the agreement, we may want to get it to a potential bond issuer's attorney that may want specific language in the agreement. And I thought, okay, I better do that. Otherwise, I could be coming back to you after you approve an agreement, and then you throw your arms up in the air and say, what are you doing to us now? You want a revision to the agreement, when it's really not me asking, but it's somebody that wants to sell the bonds that requires this language within that agreement. So I've got a red line that I need to share with the village, but it wouldn't surprise me that these two guys look at me in 2 weeks and say, you told me you were done with red lines, and now I have another set of red lines because of this, the potential bond issuer that may have comments.
And-
So don't get excited that even if they present it, a draft to the village board, and all of a sudden there's a whole series of other statements.
And that's why I'm holding it back till we get that done. And now we have the IGA pretty close with the county too, so that number's not gonna be wildly different either in the cost. So we're getting very close. I just did not want to give you an agreement that 5 or 10 days later, I'm going, never mind, we gotta switch this out significantly because of the bond council to sell the paper. And we gotta lock that down. I would like to go faster too, but I don't want to give you X and then say, forget about X, we got X plus 1, and everybody here looks at me like, is that a problem? Is there a change? So I'm just trying to manage expectations and making, I'm giving you a complete product that, like, the two of us and SB Friedman can recommend.
I'll also add that staff knows, and Drew and Dr. Zander know, because I've mentioned it, that as I need to keep extending this contract to be the contract purchaser, I have to keep paying them money that is non-applicable to the purchase price. So besides paying village costs, other outside consultant costs, engineering costs, now I'm paying in a seller to give me more time. So I'm throwing money out to him to keep him interested and to stay with me. I'd like to get that, at least that bleeding stopped if I could. So I need to close, but before I can close, I need to know that I have a TIF district and I have an RDA that I can rely upon, that, and in the end, I really need to be able to sell the bonds and have a bond buyer, right, that can finance this large expense for this whole thing to come together. So a lot of moving, believe it or not, there's a lot of moving pieces. I'll take a quote from Dr. Zander, who I think this is his first development project he's ever been involved with. And I think in maybe month 6 or month 9, he turned to me across the table and we're all sitting together and he said, my gosh, I have never realized what is involved in a developer trying to put a development together. There's so many things going on. And to some of us, we get it. It's, you got different levers and buttons to press and levers to pull and strings to tweak, and got to try to keep everybody happy. It's not just a developer trying to keep a village board happy.
And Dave, if I could follow up, so what is that date for your next contract extension?
May 21st.
What is it again?
May 21st
May 21st.
of
Okay.
2026.
Sure. So of course, I wasn't expecting it to be
May
that quickly.
21st.
Yeah, so with this RDA, I know that we are going to likely need some time to review it. I mean, it's gonna be
Oh,
more
Nick,
than a
there's
meeting.
no possibility
Yeah.
that we're,
I was
SB
expecting
Friedman
you to
and
say
I,
July, and then I was gonna
No.
come back
No.
and say, please get it to us ASAP. I mean, it's a week out,
Yeah.
a couple weeks out, yeah.
it's gonna come after the 21st of May.
Yeah, okay.
How much time does it buy you after that?
I have to buy it in 30-day increments. And my last buying opportunity is the end of the year. So if I don't have everything buttoned up, zippered up in a nice package for the holidays, I got a big problem.
And one other question, you said you have a contract with the engineering firm that's working on the wastewater treatment facility?
Yes,
Have you commenced, or the water treatment facility?
both of those, and he's commenced. And
They've commenced the work?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that is our continued commitment. And admittedly, that I was shocked that the person that gives me the okay to spend that money was willing to say, go get it, get it done, and get it done soon. So that's just more real money going into the project, where if we don't get a TIF district and we don't generate the increment, we don't get a bond, now all of a sudden we call it wallpaper. We have real expensive wallpaper. The plans would be worthless otherwise.
Thank you.
Okay, we ready to move on? Dave, thanks so much.
Thank you.
It's very informative, thanks. Okay, we'll move on to action items. A, motion to approve ordinance 2624, approving the LaFox Road redevelopment plan and project.
So moved.
Moved by Janet, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Frank. Any more discussion? I know we had quite a bit. Okay, roll call.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Hefzenberger?
Aye.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. B, motion to approve ordinance 2625, designating the LaFox Road redevelopment project area. Need a motion?
Make a motion?
Okay, Nick? And
Second.
do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Janet. Any discussion? Okay, roll call.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Hassenberger?
Aye.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. And C, motion to approve ordinance 2626, adopting tax increment allocation financing for the LaFox Road redevelopment project area.
So move.
Moved by Frank,
Second?
second by Nick. Any discussion? I know we've had a lot. Okay, roll call.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Hassenberger?
Aye.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
And Trustee Muir?
Aye.
Motion passes. Wow, that's exciting. Thank you, Dave, Andrew, and Dr. Zander. All right, moving on to discussion items. See, we have 7B, ordinance dissolving the Village of Campton Hills Information Technology Committee. Any discussion on that? Janet, you want to start the discussion?
Which,
Mhm.
me?
Okay.
We talked about it amongst ourselves a little.
Well, we did. I don't think we should dissolve it.
You don't think we should?
I don't
Okay.
think we should. Maybe move them to maybe a quarterly meeting with as needed.
That'd be good.
We might need to, there is 4 current members.
Okay.
I don't know if any of them would be willing to serve as chair. It might come down to considering, perhaps we consider a trustee being on it.
Okay.
Now, not that I'm looking to want to do minutes or chairing, but I mean, it's just an opinion. I do think we should keep it.
Okay.
And the village code does allow for you to have one member of the board of trustees as a member and the village administrator. So you have that option now.
Okay. How does quarterly sound to everybody else for the technology committee?
I think that's fine.
Mhm.
You know, it doesn't have to be twice a month or anything like that, so it's not like the board meetings.
Yeah, well, it dropped down to one, once a month, but I don't think,
Well, there was some real work to be
There
done at
was.
first,
oh, yeah.
you know.
And we
so,
did.
Yeah, you did.
You could schedule us quarterly and meet as needed, then.
That's true. Mhm.
That's right. Right, the code doesn't indicate how often the committee needs to meet. I think it was just approved on the yearly calendar, probably based on what they had met in the past. So, yeah, as a committee, they can decide how often they want to meet. And then if they determine it's going to be quarterly, they can just let the clerk know and you can update the meeting calendar. That way you don't have to cancel meetings and hold special meetings.
Teresa?
So 2 comments. Did you say that one board member can be on the committee? So I nominate Kim to go back on there, as long as she doesn't have to do minutes. Otherwise, she will absolutely say no. And then the second one is just a general comment about the committees. It's been several months now, but we were in a closed session discussion about committees. And at that point, Nick and I were kind of assigned a project of putting something together so we could reach out to all the committees and kind of have these questions like what's working, what is not working, all those things. So we
Good.
drafted something. Life got in the way. We had a bunch of other commitments that we were working on, so it kind of got lost in the dust. I think that Nick and I have spoken again recently about sending that out at some point now to the existing committees. And I can send a copy of what I drafted to everyone to look at it. But I think this might be a good time to send that out, just to see if we can make sure that there aren't any other committee members that are frustrated, that we could try to fix it before they decide to leave.
All right, well, thank you. That sounds
Does everyone
good.
agree with that, or at least should we move forward with that?
Can we
Okay.
have one of the questions be if they're okay with the trustee being on the committee?
That is on the questionnaire, and I'll give it to you. It's on the questionnaire, and it actually asks several kind of sub-questions like, to what level would you like them involved? Would you like them to be, someone who just comes in and you can ask questions of, someone who's participating, who's voting? So we listed all that out to get that information. So
Okay.
I'll go ahead and send that out.
It's excellent.
Okay, all right,
Mhm.
thank you.
Yep. All right, we'll move on to C, move to remove from the table Resolution 2624, accepting a proposal from Civic Plus for website design and maintenance services. Now, Mark stepped away. Tracy, do you want to comment on anything there?
No, it was just tabled, so we just need to get it off the table so we can continue to have discussions about it.
Okay. All right, any other discussion?
I'll move to,
Right. I mean, if it's just discussion, you technically
Mhm.
don't need to remove it if you're not taking action on it tonight. So you
Mhm.
can just discuss it as a discussion item. But when you do want to put it back, if you want to remove it from the table for action, because it was a prior resolution that was tabled, you could put that on a future agenda. So you're just discussing it tonight. You're not taking action on it tonight.
okay, I'm good with the discussion then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did meet with Rival Mind
Mhm.
yesterday. As a design company, they actually came in a little deeper. I actually had a deeper conversation than trustee Boatner and Clerk Johnson had with them to get the backsides, the back end of this and how that all works. I don't think, I'm not really now a fan, I'm not a fan really of Civic Plus at this point. I feel like that might be something that we'll wind up spending way more money than we are anticipating there. The other thing is that we do have, like I have mentioned before, we have control of our website. There's a couple modules and plugins that we need to pay for, potentially. And then, I think that now that we have control of it, we can get in the backside of that and actually do some designing of our own to get some of that content management under control.
I like that idea.
And
Yep.
right now, we have, and if we were to go with a design company, I'd say let's go with somebody that's in Campton Hills.
Mhm. The Rival Mind. Yep, Janet?
I really appreciate your, getting into the details of this, and in particular, making sure that we have clarity of what degree of control we have over the site, because that's so important. And so we're engaging the hosting company, via Helping Hand. We have full administrative control of this site, which is great. One of the things that, so I agree with you about Civic Plus in general, and about working with a local company if we feel that we need a company. The thing that I think is so important to understand, because I know that Clerk Johnson and some of our other employees have been confronted with challenges on the back end of this site. People who see our site from the customer-facing side, the resident-facing side, we get a lot of compliments on it, actually. And if you look around at other municipal websites, ours is pretty good. It's pretty clean. It's got a lot of information, from a transparency standpoint compared to what many other municipalities are doing. I mean, we're just way up there, and I give us high marks. But the people that are using it as a resource, and us looking at it, we don't have to deal with the administrative problems. We don't have to deal with the problems of trying to make posts on it, right? And trying to work the back end of it. And so from my understanding, having spent some time with Clerk Johnson early on in this, probably two and a half years ago, and then, keeping involved in the dialogue since then, the real issue isn't so much what can we deliver with the site. or even is the site organized the best possible way or anything. The real issue is how much work does she have to do on the back end to make simple changes? And so what I really believe is that we can solve that problem. The thing about the site that we have being done in WordPress is that when we say that it's such a, like, it's hard to understand if you're not involved in website development in some way or another, but WordPress is such a big umbrella term that when we say we have a WordPress site, it means we have a site that we can do almost anything with. There are literally, there's 1 million plus plugins that are available to do almost anything that you could possibly want to do. And when, Trustee Muir says, well, we might have to buy some plugins, we're talking about $100 here, $50 there in this universe. And so, so the flexibility that's available for us to solve any of the problems that Clerk Johnson has encountered and more is for sure there. Now, the cost of that is we have to kind of put our heads together and figure it out. And it kind of goes in line with keeping our IT committee and maybe, a couple of us as trustees continuing to be involved. And so I'll be the, make the offer publicly. I know you and I have talked about it privately, for us to work together individually, whatever it takes, with Clerk Johnson to try and find ways to utilize this WordPress environment in the best way so that she gets what she needs out of it. Because it's not fair for us to say, well, we don't know about this Civic Plus thing, right? If we're not trying to address the known problem. And the known problem is, what does she have to deal with on the back end? So I think we have to challenge ourselves to be able to satisfy her that we can make it better. And if she agrees, then, then maybe we've saved the village a little money. If she doesn't, then we go back to this plan.
Mhm. Okay, anybody else? All right, we'll move on. Website Freedom of Information Request Module, which is a FOIA request. So who wants to take that one? Janet or Kim? Mhm.
That's going to be me.
I know.
Because I did talk with just FOIA in depth. He kind of showed me what I already knew about the site because I use it. Obviously not the FOIA officer for D303, but I work a lot in it and work with the FOIA officer. So the module, I think the original module request came up because it was going to be an add-on to Civic Plus. Now, that was just
Got it.
outrageous.
Mhm.
It was outrageous. And I think we can even get just FOIA down even further than what they quoted us, just based on what the district pays. And I think some of the reasons why our FOIA officer says that it was expensive is because the school district's FOIA requests aren't anywhere near the total we have at the village.
Really?
Yeah, you'd be surprised. There's more record requests for FERPA than there are for actual FOIAs. And most of it's just people doing what you pay for your copier contracts this year. Because
okay.
they're fishing for business. I mean,
Oh, got it.
and it's constant, so.
All right.
But it's, again, I think it's not that super expensive, and I think having some sort of service like that not only gets it out in the public, they can do it that way, there's no more email, it's not a form, it's put in there, it's all encapsulated in there. The things that come out of our email also can be thrown in there, it gets converted into something that can be read, it can be redacted in there, and you can also, if you wanted to charge, you could charge.
Nice. All right, Mike?
Question or whatever. The recent training my admin had to go through, would the module like this be able to detect AI and/or shut that down, where
question.
you can now say, are you a human? And, if you don't think they're a human, you can, could say not responding.
Yeah, it would probably be along the lines of a CAPTCHA. Are you a human? They're always improving that. And it's a question I can actually ask Harris, for sure. But I'm fairly certain that the CAPTCHA is there. Again, remember, people do not have to use their real name. So they just gotta click that box that says, yeah, I'm a human. Yeah, yeah, or the pictures, right? Yeah, things like that. The other thing that Just FOIA does yearly training that comes with the cost. We just went through it 2 weeks ago, again. So, especially if there's new features.
How often are the new features? Like, does it happen a lot? No?
No, I don't think so, but there's a yearly training.
Sure, sure. All right, anybody else? All right, additional items from the president, trustees, or attorney. Mike?
I have a thing we've been talking about for a little bit, beating around the bush. Maybe that's not the right phrase. I would like to see on the next agenda item, if we could, a proposal for a forensic audit from Sikich. I think that'd be the quickest one to get one from.
Okay.
And
Or could you accept as the new audit firm to do a forensic audit on a specific spot? So it's the same firm we,
either or, that's fine.
can we narrow what area we want a forensic audit to? Not the entire audit, but
No, I
you want
want
the entire, that's gonna be more, well, we'll have the base price.
Yep.
And then we'll have the forensic audit price, and then you can choose.
That's what I was gonna say, it's such, and my rationale for this is conversations with Patsy is, she's got the cusp of everything that's goofy, and I think the first thing we do is have Sikich pick her brain for a day, and the things that she was trying to chase down that she didn't have enough time or people power to do, have them do those things. And then the way they can do them faster and they have automation and stuff like that too. So I would like to see if we got head nods because we talked about doing it, and I think we should now do it.
Yeah.
All right, I'll just add that to the RFP. We were, Russ and Patsy and I kind of have a final document. We'll add forensic audit to that RFQ.
Okay.
I think you should go back to at least
5,
well, if I were doing it, I'd go back to
10? Oh, sure, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because I think we all had confidence in the 22? Okay, so let's ask them for 4 years.
So
Therese?
I'm just going to make the comment that I believe, and I don't know this 100%, but I believe that when the investigation started with the village, that there was a request then to do forensic accounting, so we should see what that date was and start there. It doesn't matter, it wasn't done.
I believe that was for a specific purpose for a short period of time. So I don't think it's worthy of.
We need microphones on.
Yeah, there you go.
Either way, let's find out what the request was and talk about it.
Sure. All right, I believe it's National Police Week. Am I right about that? And we're recognized here in the village as the safest community in the state of Illinois. And I think we can give that credit to our police chief and our police department.
We have gotten about probably 14 dozen donuts in
Donuts.
2 days. In 2 days, so, yeah.
We want more.
I can attest to that. I've eaten more donuts in the last 2 days than in 2 years.
Are you trying to tell us you need coffee now to go with the donuts?
Bagels, please. Yeah.
Bagels.
So then we don't participate in I think I was joking, it's no longer cop on a rooftop, it's now like cop under a pop-up tent behind a table in front of a donut shop.
I like that. All right. Okay, we ready to adjourn? Anybody? Motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Okay, who was that? Frank?
second
And then
that.
second by Janet. All in favor, say
Folks,
aye.
before you do that, we've got a regular meeting scheduled for the 19th, but
Okay.
if, as we discussed with Mr. Patzel, we have a chance to get a better RDA in front of you on the 26th than I do, I have no way of getting you a meaningful document on the 19th. But the 26th, we could have a deep discussion on the RDA. If we do the 26th, cancel the 19th and do the 26th.
Is that good for everybody?
I'll be out
Yeah.
of town, I'll be in DC on the 9th, it's fine.
Can you participate by, well, we'll get you a document so you can at least know what we're doing.
It's possible I could be in town, but as of right now, I will not.
It's close to Memorial Day, too.
Yeah.
It's the day after.
Mhm.
We had met, I had mentioned that last time too, so.
Okay.
But, yeah.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
All right,
Aye.
we're